Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Friday 29th of September. Just coming up 5:45, looking ahead to the weekend. Before we do that, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to analyse the English tables, League 2, 1, Championship up to the Premier League, because we want to have a look at the outright markets, because it's something which, I do as I go along, from time to time, and I look down this list now. There's one team that sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I don't think it depends how you look at it, but we'll go on to that anyway. So we're going to look at League 2 this week. These are the prices. These aren't the league positions. What I've done is I've done it in price order. So we've got Notts County in at 5-2 favourites, Wrexham 4s, Mansfield 11-2, Stockport 6, etc., etc. So what I thought, let's burst this bubble. There's nothing. I don't get any pleasure from this, but what does frustrate me is when bookmakers try having the punters over, and that's exactly what they're doing with Notts County, and I'm going to tell you why. We'll go on to that now. Right. Again, in price order. Now, Notts County have played 9 games, 20 points. You think, yeah, that's good. They're tickling along over 2 points a game. Now, let's break that down. Let's just have a look at that record. They've played one team in the top 10. One team. That's it. So, teams in the top 10, they've taken 1 point. In the bottom, they've taken 16. I left out 12th and 13th. It was a stupid error because I was thinking about the Premiership at the time, and of course there's only 20 teams in that, so this should have been top half, bottom half, but I ended up doing it in tens, but we see it still gives us an accurate picture anyway. So Notts County have played one side, 10th team, MK Dons, a 1-1 draw. That's it. Their wins have been against 12th placed Accrington, 17th placed Grimsby, 22nd placed Forest Green, 23rd placed Tranmere, and away at 19th placed Doncaster, 21st placed Salford. So all their wins, bar one, have been against teams in the bottom half of the table. They have not had to face, other than MK Dons, a side that I would give respect to. I got respect for Accrington, but not as much as I have sort of the teams that are on this list. So straight away, as far as I'm concerned, that blows Notts County out the water. That tells me immediately that Notts County are in a false position. Now, there's something else to bear in mind. I heard for years how good Robert Lewandowski was. I don't pay much attention to German football. When he was at Dortmund, Bayern, etc. Anyway, I just bear this in mind. Fantastic record on the surface. Go and scratch that surface of Robert Lewandowski's, and it's much similar to this. And by that, say he gets 40 goals a season, you'll probably find 30 of those against the bottom 8 teams. Stuff like that. So to me, that doesn't indicate a decent striker, or it indicates a flat track bully. Now, if you look at, let me just think of a game off the top of my head last week, Arsenal Tottenham. You could say Saka scored twice. Son scored twice for Tottenham. Now, 2 goals, say, from Son away at Arsenal. That carries a lot in for me. You get somebody like Haaland, say, who scores 10 goals against Forest, Burnley. I don't know. Someone else who's near the bottom, Wolves, say Haaland scores 10 goals against 4 teams. That looks much better numerically, but I always believe in quality over quantity. I'm not slagging Haaland. I'm just trying to give it as an example. that when you hear about these so-called great players, go and scratch the surface and see what they do against the big teams. Go and look at Neymar. He doesn't do anything against the big sides. Flat track bully. And it's the same here. We can't get a full picture on Notts County because they've only played one team in the top 10. But would I want to be taking that? Absolutely no way. We'll move on to the next team on the list, Wrexham. They are 7th in the league, 15 points. You know my thoughts on them. I don't think they're going up. I think playoffs at best. And I think they've got a distinct class barrier already. They've played 9 games. They've played 4 teams in the top 10. They've lost 5-3 to MK Dons, 5-0 away at Stockport. Remember, I did say about that game last week, I would have loved to have watched it. Drawn 5-5 with Swindon and 1-1 with Wimbledon. They've drawn 1-1 with 13th place Barrow. They've won 4 games, Wrexham. They've come against 16th, 17th, 19th and 23rd. 13th and above, 3 draws, 2 losses, no wins. They're 4-1. Would you want to take 4-1 about a team that's got to go to Notts County, Gillingham, Mansfield, Swindon, Stockport? They've had a 5-0 mullering off. They've got to go to Bradford. You see, it's this is completely wrong. Mansfield, it's gone to Mansfield, unbeaten Mansfield. Draw too many for my liking. What do I think? They've played 2 teams in the top 10. They've beaten Stockport 3-2, drew 2-2 away at Crewe. I think that's quite solid. Teams in the bottom, they've played a few. 1-1, drawn 3, lost none. But you could see what I sort of mean, can't you? Notts County and Wrexham. Look at that. Look how much they've taken off the teams in the top 10. Look how much they've taken off the bottom boys. Now, the next team, I think they should be favourites. I think this is a team. I was unsure at first at the way they started the season. I'm no fan of Dave Challoner, as you know, only because he walked out on Hartlepool. But there is absolutely no denying they have played a heck of a lot of games. They're 9th in the table, Stockport. Now they are in a false position, and the reason why is because they've had 2 games outside of the top half of the table. Every game bar 2 has been against teams in the top half of the table. They've lost 2. They've lost at Mansfield 3-2, at home to Gillingham 1-0, 3-3 with Crawley, Wrexham 5-0, Wimbledon 2-1, MK Dons 2-1, 1-1 with Bradford, 1-0 Barrow, lost at Walsall 2-1. Now, when you think they're what? A point behind Wrexham, okay, and already you can see how many teams in the bottom that Wrexham and Notts County have played. County have played 7, Wrexham have played 4, Stockport have played 1, and Stockport are only a point behind Wrexham. So you can see that Stockport already, although we're not even in October, we can see already that Stockport, we can't call it a run-in because there's so many games left. There's 37 games left, but the point I'm making is that over the coming months, Stockport have got a much easier fist of things than what these 2 clubs are going to have. And that's why I say that these prices are wrong. And if you touch these, you do need your head seen to. And when I look at the list and I look at it straight down like that, look at the 3 teams. Those 3 teams there in the betting, the outsiders, if you like, of that group of 6, all of them have scored more points against the top 10 than those 3. Don't go near any of these 3 guys. There's absolute none of that is value. I promise you. That's the worst value. If I could lay that at 5-2, I would lay it all day. If I could lay that at 4-1, I would lay it all day. I can't because it's big on the machines. But let's go on to Gillingham. They're a funny side. Really, really don't know what to make of them. 3 defeats. All the defeats have been against teams in the bottom. They've played 2 teams in the top 10, won both. they've played 6 against teams in the lower echelons, won 3, lost 3. So very, very difficult. You win at Stockport, which I think's. I'd be amazed if I'd be not amazed. I'd be surprised if Stockport lost more than 2 games at home all season, because I mean, you look what they done to Wrexham last week. Stockport mullered them 5-0. Yeah, Wrexham's still short, but absolutely ridiculous. Bookmakers want you in with ease. I'll tell you that now. Swindon, another side. I think they've got a really decent record. Swindon at the moment, unbeaten. I mean, 6-0 against Crawley. Crawley are 4th and playing really well. We know that Crawley are a decent side. They drew a Crewe, 5-all against Wrexham. Those teams are in the top 7. So Swindon aren't a bad outfit. But the whole purpose of this, what I'm trying to say, is that these are wrong, without a doubt. And how would I price it? I would be pricing this probably, I don't know, 4-1, 9-2 the field. But I would have it how it was at the start of the season, and Stockport for me will be clear favourites. Yes, they're 6 points behind Notts County, but like I say, you consider Notts County have played 1 team in the top 10. Stockport have played 6. And that's a massive difference. And Notts County aren't as good as Stockport. You go and look at that squad. I don't care what the media says. Go and do some digging and go and do some homework on those players. I think County are better than Wrexham, but they're not as good as Stockport. And if I had to bet now, and someone said to me, you've got to make another bet now in this division, it would without question be Stockport County. And I did say, didn't I, last week, how much I would have loved to have that game to have been live, because I knew it would be a thriller. I didn't expect it to be 5-0. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that Wrexham are a fun team to watch, but I mean, they've shipped 5 goals in 9 games 3 times. That's a worry. I don't care what you think about that. And the problem is those teams that they've shipped 5 goals against are top 10 teams. MK Dons 10th, Stockport 9th, Swindon 5th. And that's a concern. But as I say, if I had to bet now, it would be Stockport, and if I had to do a straight forecast, it would probably be Stockport, Mansfield, or Stockport, Gillingham. That is how I would have it, and that is why I say that this is completely wrong. If I could, I wouldn't want to lay Mansfield at 11-2, but if I could lay those 2 at those prices, I don't care that I'd have to wait till May. I would be all over that, because that is an insult. Please do not get sucked in. I mentioned these at the start of the season, didn't I, when they went off favourites? I said to you, they will not win the league. They will not get outright promotion. It's playoffs at best, and it is going to be playoffs at best. So that's the analysis of League 2. As I say, I think Stockport are the best team. And when you're looking, go and have a look. We're 9 games in. Go and have a look at 20 games in. And do this. Go and look at the market. Look at the top 6 in the market, and go and see how many points they've got against the top half teams, the bottom half teams, and you'll find that the team who gets the most points against teams in the top half of the table are the team that will be closest to winning the championship. And right now, there's only one, as far as I'm concerned, and I do think they'll win the league. I did. When Gillingham started this season, I really did think that, and I said last season about that Gillingham squad, and when they won first game of the season at Stockport, and they won another couple, 2 or 3 on, I think they won 4 in a row, 1-0, and I said to you at the time, I don't like teams winning 1-0, it's a sign of nerves, but I do think that, I do still think that Gillingham will be there or thereabouts, but I don't think they're as good as Stockport. I think Stockport are the best team in this division, and I think as I say, I think 4-1, 9-2 the field it should be, but I would certainly have them as favourites, and this is still a big price. This is big price. They're big prices. I don't know what to make of that. They've only played 2 teams in the top 10, but they've taken 4 points, so you can't really crab Mansfield too much. It's the draws I don't like. I mean, they've drawn with Colchester, Doncaster and Grimsby on the road, all teams in the bottom third. I don't like to see that. That's the one thing that would put me off. But I do think they'll go close, and I think, as I see it at the moment, as I say, I think Stockport, Mansfield, Stockport, Gillingham would be my forecast. Right, let's move on. I think as we were talking about England, we'll start with England this week. We'll start with League One. I'm going to do League One, League Two. I will give you my thoughts on the Premier League. And I really do appreciate those messages I had last week when I did say to you, didn't I? There was 3 teams, wasn't there? I said that there was massive value in them. Fulham, Everton, Aston Villa. Fulham drew, Everton won, Aston Villa won. I think someone said they got 4-1 and 7-2. Was really good. So I'm pleased. I only had a small bit on them. And there's another team as well. We'll come to in a minute that I've had a small bit on this week. Right, Barnsley, Blackpool, 44, 24, 32. Barnsley's favourites. Again, I think this is a team with a bit of a class barrier. Barnsley, top 8, they've won 1, lost 3. And the defeats have been against Portsmouth, Oxford and Peterborough at home. And they've shipped 3 to all of them. I was unsure about the manager at the start of the season. Still am. Blackpool, Neil Critchley's there. It's the lack of goals that's a problem. They've had 3 0-0 draws. They've been beaten twice, both to 0. The 3 wins have been against Burton, Wigan and Reading. Don't think Wigan is an awful result because they're 4th from bottom because they've had that points deduction, as I say all the time. It's a game to swerve as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't trust either of these. I wouldn't trust Barnsley, and as I say, Blackpool don't find the net often enough. Derby, Cambridge, 58, 27, 15. I remember I said to you at the start of the season, I opposed Derby. I didn't think they were anywhere near good enough to lift the title, and they went off favourites. Don't believe me, go back and watch some of the summer videos when I said that. Their best wins are 4-2 win at Peterborough, who are 8th. Lost at home to Oxford, lost away at Bolton. Drawn at home to Portsmouth. All the other wins have been against teams 19th and below. I do think they'll probably win this. There's nothing in the prices. It's a game to swerve. Exeter, Northampton, 50, 26, 24. There's a tiny bit in Exeter. Again, they've lost to Portsmouth and Oxford, who are 1st and 2nd. They also got turned over by Orient, drew with Blackpool, but their results against teams in the bottom third, just the bottom third only, they've played 4, won 4, and Northampton's results against teams in the top 6, which Exeter are, they've played 3, lost 3. It does seem to favour Exeter. Fleetwood Orient, 43, 25, 32. This figure, I just don't know how I arrived at that figure for a team that's played 3 at home, lost 3. I really don't. I think they're going to be in. It's going to be a long season for them. I think Orient of late have picked up. I still think probably what it is where they came up from League 2, because a team comes up from League 2, you don't automatically put their rating up to in line with a League 1 team. You see how they do, then assess it. That's probably why Fleetwood's figure is Fleetwood are much higher. I will adjust all the ratings, I would imagine, at the next international break. But Orient were good enough to win at Exeter, drew at Peterborough, drew at Blackpool. If I had to have a bet here, it would be Orient, but there's nothing in them. I wouldn't touch that. It's simple as that. I couldn't begin to think about backing. Lincoln, Cheltenham, 60, 26, 14. Again, I think Lincoln this is a team which I think already we could sort of see a bit of a class barrier. Lost to Portsmouth, lost to Bolton. Outside of that sort of top 10, if you like, they've won 3, drawn 3, lost none. They're at home to Cheltenham, who are bottom. Now Cheltenham are in a world of trouble. They've yet to score a goal. I think they're going down. I said at the start of the season, I think they'll finish bottom. Lincoln will win this tomorrow. There's just nothing in them, sadly. Right, Peterborough, Bristol Rovers, 52-25-23. I think Peterborough are too short. I don't think they should be 17-20 for this. I don't think this was a gimme at all. I don't trust Bristol Rovers, and what I mean by I don't trust Bristol Rovers, they can just rock up and spoil the day. They did it for us the other week against someone. I can't remember who. I did see them, didn't I? First game at Pompey, from memory. Leave it alone. It's not a game to play in. Port Vale Bolton, 37-25-38. Quite tight this one on ratings. I've got Bolton favourite only just. I'm not a huge fan. I think the wheels have come off slightly. 1 win in 5, and that was by the odd goal. I don't know what to make of them. Port Vale are up to 4th. They're going along really well. One Oxford who are second. I think that was a fantastic result. I really do. Bar that 7-0 tanking they had at Barnsley on the opening day, they got rock solid form. And the opening day, I think you've always got to sort of take a bit of a jaundiced view of the form, if you like, because I just think that on the opening day it's a bit of an unknown. Teams are undercooked and stuff, and bedding new players in. It's tough, isn't it? Reading Burton, 50-25-25. I mean, for all the bad press that Reading have got, I don't think it's overly bad. They've had a points deduction, as we know. They've beaten Stevenage and Bolton, who are in the top 7 at home. They've beaten Cheltenham. Their only defeat here was against Peterborough. They've lost every game on the road. I was looking forward to backing them this week, but sadly we're not going to get a price. I can't believe they've been putting odds on. I really did think Reading would be sort of 11 to 10ish, that sort of thing, particularly in view of Burton's win at Port Vale. I thought that's why we get a price about Reading, but we're not. So Shrewsbury Charlton, 36-24-40. Again, this was a game where I thought, yes, Charlton may just slip under the radar. New man at the wheel. Forms, there's been an upturn in form. I think they'll win tomorrow. Shrewsbury have won 3 games, all teams 20th and below. I think they could struggle this season. I mean, Charlton are only a place above them, but it's since sacking the manager, I think they've won 2, drawn 1. It's starting to go in the right direction, and a 1-1 draw at Stevenage, I think, is probably good enough to beat Shrewsbury. Stevenage Oxford, 3rd place, 2nd. Looks a tight game on paper, this. I'm just not sure on Stevenage's home form. They've played 4 at home, only won 1. That was against Shrewsbury. I mean, Carlisle United scored twice here in a 2-2 draw. Charlton drew here. I didn't think that Stevenage warranted being 7-5 and Oxford over 2-1. I mean, if we look at Oxford form, they've won, I think, 6 out of the last 7 games. They've won at Barnsley, they've won at Derby. And I think if you can win at Barnsley and Derby, I think you go to Stevenage with a great chance. I thought there was a bit of value in Oxford. Wigan Portsmouth, 30-26-44. I thought this was a tight game to assess. Portsmouth, one of our outright bets, they are going very well. And I tell you what I do like about Portsmouth. I mean, I'll tell you this now. You're going to see this on next week's video. But when, like we've just discussed about, who was it? Stockport County. Portsmouth. I tell you why I think Portsmouth are in such a strong position as well. They have played 6 teams in the top half of the table and 3 in the bottom. So they've played 6 teams in the top half. They've won 3, drawn 3. That's brilliant form. They've been at Stevenage, Barnsley, Derby. It's really rock solid form from Pompey. Rightful favourites now for the division in my book. I think we were on them at 12s or something. I'm I think it's a good. I think it's still a good bet at the prices. I don't see Stevenage staying the course. I don't see Port Vale staying the course. Barnsley, I don't think are good enough. Exeter, Bolton. Do you know what? I think Oxford United could be Portsmouth's biggest challengers this season. I think Portsmouth. I'm not saying they're going to beat Wigan tomorrow. It's a tough game, but they are favourites, rightly so. There's a smidge in it. I don't think it's quite enough, really. If we were getting this and they were at home to a team near the bottom, I would probably be interested. But I just think 0.05 is all we're getting for a trip to Wigan. It is no gimme. Could well be a draw, but I mean they are looking really good. I am delighted. I think John Massini has done a cracking job. Long may it continue. Right, Wycombe, Carlisle, they've shown a bit lately. Wycombe, they won 4 out of 5 before they got done at Charlton, and that is why I say it about Charlton. I think that they really have turned a corner. I think Wycombe will probably win this tomorrow. I don't think they should be odds on. That's the only thing. They've played 4 at home. They've won 2. I just don't think they should be odds on. Carlisle have only lost 1 of the last 4, and yeah, I don't know. I think Wycombe should win, but I just didn't think they were good things. Let's go on to League 2. Right, League 2, Accrington, Stockport, 26-25, 49. Accrington done us a couple of good turns already this season. But I do think, again, I think they're a team with a class edge. They've lost every game. They've played Notts County, Gillingham and Mansfield. That's the top 3. They've lost them all. Stockport, as I've just said, are better than all of those. I think Stockport will win tomorrow. Stockport are in gear now and flying. It's 0.05. Again, it's probably not enough to warrant a bet. It's up to you. I do think Stockport will win. They're rated to win. Wimbledon, Tranmere, 50-26-24. Wimbledon had been going along nicely. Again, they've been in absolutely rock solid form. The only game they've lost this season is to Stockport. I think they should beat Tranmere tomorrow. Tranmere's second bottom. The away form is dreadful. They've played 4, lost 4. I just didn't think Wimbledon warranted being odds on. Well, I mean, it's not that I didn't think that. It's just the way they come out on the figures. If I could get 11 to 10, I'd back this. I'd probably back it to 21 to 20. I think Wimbledon will win. Simple as that. But sadly, we're not getting a price. Barrow, Doncaster, 44-26-30. Barrow, bit concerned. 1 winning 6, and that was away at Harrogate. I have sort of heard that Pete Wild, I don't know whether I should say, but he's sort of, there's been sort of indications he thinks he's taken Barrow as far as he could. And the Oldham job's up. I know it means dropping down a division, but I think that's quite a... whether he'd fancy that or not, I don't know. I've said many times I think Pete Wild's going to be capable of managing at championship level. He just hasn't got the the stock, the raw materials at Barrow, and I have sort of been told he thinks he's taken them as far as he can. So it'd be interesting if he went to Oldham. I think if he went to Oldham, they would absolutely fly up the table. They are now anyway. So under Thompson. So we'll see. Anyway, it's 0.9 in Doncaster at 30%. I think that's quite well. I think that's good. Don't let me put you off. Bradford, Walsall, 50-25-25. What did I say last week about Bradford? It was an absolute cracking price, wasn't it, away at Newport? Of course I left it because I'm bitter with them. And what do? Go and win 4-1. We're not going to get a price like that about Bradford again. Should have been on it. Odds on tomorrow against Walsall. Not for me. Do I think Walsall will win? 1 away win all season at Salford. I'm not so sure. They've shipped 4 at Wrexham, couple at Swindon, couple at Crewe, couple at Morecambe. Bradford ought to win, but I just don't trust them. Colchester, Notts County. as you know what I just said about Notts County playing teams from the bottom. Colchester are 20th. Really funny, Colchester won at second place Gillingham, drew to third place Mansfield, lost 5 to teams between 6th and 16th, and beat Tranmere, who are 23rd. So do they raise their game, Colchester? It looks that way, doesn't it? They'll be bang up for this tomorrow, you would have thought, anyway. But it's another easy game for Notts County, and like I say, don't be lulled into this, oh, it's Notts County, it's Wrexham, because they've not had Notts County haven't had tough games yet. Crawley Sutton 60-25-15. Crawley are absolutely going along nicely. I mean, they are scoring goals for fun. I think they've scored 13 in the last 4. He has got them playing some cracking football. They lost 2 games, Gillingham and Swindon, but they're 2nd and 5th. They're at home to Sutton tomorrow, who are bottom. It's 0.25 in Crawley. It's up to you. Forest Green Morecambe 38-24-38. Now, how in God's name are Forest Green 21-20? They've played 5 games at home. They've lost every game. And it isn't like they've had to play teams at the top. They've played Salford, Doncaster, Newport. 15th and below, they've lost all 3. Yeah, and they play Morecambe. Morecambe are 14th. Morecambe have lost every game away. So somebody's got to give tomorrow. But Morecambe went down 2-1 at Gillingham, 3-0 at Mansfield. So 2 of their away losses have been against Gillingham and Mansfield, who are 2nd and 3rd. Morecambe have also unbeaten at home. They drew with Notts County, drew with Swindon, beat Bradford. The only black mark I can put on Morecambe was a 2-0 defeat at Harrogate. Yet here they are, 11-4, away at a team who have lost every game at home. I think that is absolute crazy price. And so is that. It's a brilliant bet. Doesn't say it's going to win. 11-4, about a 13-8 shot. Gillingham Mansfield 37-26-37. I can't split these. I don't know what to make. I think if the right Gillingham turn up, they'll win. Mansfield are unbeaten. They're in 3rd. Only won 1 away at Accrington, drawn the other 4, but they are unbeaten. They're a tough nut to crack, Mansfield. Would I take Gillingham at 37% with 0.3 in it? No, I wouldn't. Not against Mansfield. It's a tough game, isn't it? It really is. I just don't think Mansfield should not be 6-4 shots. If I had to bet, I would bet Gillingham, but it's a game that I don't want any interest in. Milton Keynes Dons at home to Harrogate 50-26-24. I don't think MK should be odds on for this. They've lost 2, drawn 2 of the last 4. I'm not impressed. I'm really not. I don't know. Best win was away at Wrexham. They drew in Notts County as well, but I mean the losses have been against Crawley, who are 4th, Crewe, who are 6th, and Stockport, who are 9th. So it's not like they've been getting tanked. They did ought to be winning this tomorrow against Harrogate, but I just don't see them as odds on. Right, Salford Newport 43-25-32. I like to see Salford struggle, as you know, because they're owned by tax evaders, people that owe millions of pounds and have been fleecing the football fans for years, spouting claptrap. 5-4 Salford. It's probably around the right price, isn't it? Newport aren't the best team on the road. The one thing I say is Newport against the sort of bottom third, they've won every game and they've scored 10 goals. Salford are 4th from bottom. If I had to bet, I would bet Newport, but I just don't trust them. Hopefully they win. Swindon Grimsby 55. There's a bit in Swindon, as you can see. I just haven't highlighted it. 55-25-20. I mean, I like the Robins this season. I think they are going along nicely. 1-3 from 4 at home. I think that they're up to winning this tomorrow. I mean, 2 of their games at home, they've 6-0 Crawley, 5-3 Sutton, drew 5-5 at Wrexham. So they find the net, Swindon. I think they'll win this tomorrow. There's 0.05 in it. I don't know. It's up to you. Wrexham Crew 54 26 20. There's 3.5 points in Crew. I've backed it. I'm not saying you have to back it, but I'm not letting that go unbacked. They've lost one match all season, Crew. That was a 1-0 defeat at Bradford. They're 6th. They've drawn with Mansfield, Swindon, Wimbledon, beat MK Dons, top 10 side. That's rock solid form, and you know what Wrexham's form is against the top 10. They've drawn 3, lost 2. Well, they've drawn 2, lost 2. Barrow were 13th, the other side I mentioned. So 2-5. That it's like when people say, "Oh, you've just got a problem with Wrexham." Not at all. What I got a problem with is that you're being asked to take sort of Manchester City, Celtic-esque type prices about a team that's 7th in League 2 at home to a team that's 6th in League 2 that's got much better form. I don't understand that. I really don't. I'm sorry, I don't. And I say this every week. And who do I think will win this game tomorrow? Probably Wrexham. They'll probably win, but they're no good things. The one thing you can bank on with this side is they'll find the net. Now, if you look at Crew's form, they've scored 2 in every game, bar 1. So in 8 of their 9 matches, they found the net at least twice. And you know how poor this defence is. 15-2. I can't let a team go off at 15-2 that should be 4-1. I mean, look, it's football. We know how hard it is to find 15-2 winners in football. It's near bloody impossible. But when you can make a compelling case, and I think in this case you can, like I've just said, Wrexham against the top area are poor. Crew have been to Swindon, Wimbledon, drawn 2-2 with Mansfield. I think Crew have got much better form than Wimbledon. Well, I mean, they're a place above them in the league, and they've played harder teams and got better results. Yet here they are at 15-2. This is down to the media. Right, let's get on to Scotland. Right, Motherwell Celtic 9-22-69. I mean, look, Celtic are going to win this, I would have thought. They've won every game bar 1 this season. That was against St Johnstone, which is a draw. Motherwell, they've gone along okay. They've lost the last 2 against Rangers and St Mirren. Celtic will win. You don't need me to tell you. Hibernian Dundee 60-24-16. I think the change of manager at Hibs has worked the oracle. They've won 2 of the last 3, including wins over Aberdeen and St Johnstone and a draw at Kilmarnock. They did ought to beat Dundee. I think they should be a bit shorter for this. Dundee have won 1 game all season. That was at home to Hearts after Hearts had had a tough European excursion. I still think Dundee are probably the worst team in the division, are they? Alongside St Johnstone currently. Hibs should win. Just don't go too big because they're not one to trust. They should win. Kilmarnock St Mirren 38-24-38. Couldn't split these. Killy haven't won since the opening day. They've only lost twice against Motherwell and Ross, so draw's a big runner, I feel, here. St Mirren are second. Again, they're unbeaten. They've won at Motherwell. They've won at Hibernian. Drawn at Livingston. It was a game I didn't think St Mirren would lose. I thought that was a pretty decent price. I really did. Kilmarnock have only lost once at home. That's the problem. And McInnes is not somebody that sort of loses back-to-back games, if you know what I mean, at home. Rangers, Aberdeen. Now, that was what price Wrexham are. So, just to go back to that, bookmakers are saying that Wrexham got a 72% chance of beating Crew. That's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Absolute madness. Rangers will win this. There's 2 points in Aberdeen, but you're not going to do it. They're second from bottom. They've won one. They finally got a result against Ross County. Rangers will win. Simple as that. There's nothing in it. Ross Hearts 36-25-39. I don't trust Hearts anymore. They've got a bit to prove as far as I'm concerned. I tell you what, 4 goals scored in 6 games. Yes, they've only conceded 3, but 4 goals in 6 games, I don't like to see that. I really don't. I'm not a fan of Hearts at all. Currently, the wins have been away at St Johnstone and at home to Aberdeen. They're the bottom 2 teams in the division. This really did tempt me and still does. Don't let me put you off. St Johnstone, Livingston couldn't split these, 38 each, 24 the draw. St Johnstone, how they drew at Celtic just remains to be seen because they've lost 4 from 6. The other 2 have been draws. Livy, 1 loss on the road. That was away at Rangers. They won at Hibs, drew at Ross. Again, it was a game I sort of looked at and I didn't think Livy would lose. There's not enough in the prices. Not at all, but I thought there was some quite decent value. Forget that and forget the Aberdeen, but 0.14 at 60, 0.59, 0.5 there. I wouldn't put you off any of those 3. I thought that was a huge price, but I am mindful of they've lost their last game at home, and when they did lose a home game to Ross, they drew with Hibs. I don't know. It's a tough one. Let's move on. Right, Championship, Arbroath Inverness 52-25-23. I mean, they are just absolutely on fire, Arbroath, aren't they? I mean, they routed Partick last week away. They routed Airdrie the week before. They lost the first 3. They've won the last 4. Dick Campbell is getting a hell of... I really love Dick Campbell. He's such a good manager. The other year when we backed Kilmarnock to win the title, it went to the last game. There was part of me, obviously I wanted Killie to go up because I was on there, but I would not have begrudged Arbroath getting up to the Scottish Premiership. And as I say, I do know someone whose brother's a director there, and they're tickling along well. Duncan Ferguson's taken over Inverness. I mean, he's bound to be going in there growling. I'm sure Big Dunk will galvanise them at some stage. I don't know, this lot just seem too red hot at the moment, don't they? I think they should win. But Inverness have been underperforming because when I assessed this at the start of the season, I thought they had a squad to challenge for promotion, yet we find them bottom of the league with 1 point from 6 games. They've clearly down tools. If Ferguson can get a tune out of them, hopefully they might slip under the radar for us a bit over the next few weeks. I couldn't have them tomorrow. I don't think they're good enough to beat Arbroath at the moment, but hopefully they'll slip under the radar in the next few weeks, Inverness, because I'm sure he'll get a tune. Let's move on. Ayr Wraith 33-25-42. Ayr won at Queen's Park last week 5-2. I mean, they look to have gone. Queen's Park, I forgave them a bit because they'd lost 3 in a row, but it was to the top 3, and I think when you look at teams that lose 3 in a row and you see that it's all been against teams at the top, you can be a bit forgiving, and it pays to. And I just couldn't believe that Ayr won their 5-2 last week, so they're in decent form. Wraith got turned over at Airdrie last week after winning 4 on the spin. There's 0.12 and it doesn't interest me. Dundee United Queen's Park 65-24-11. I make Dundee United 8-15, therefore 7.04. It's not enough for me. I think they'll win. As I say, Queen's Park, they've lost 4 on the spin, and they're just hemorrhaging goals. 3 3 against Partick, 3 against Wraith, 2 against Dunfermline, 5 against Ayr. That's 12 goals. No, it's not, is it? It's 13 in 4. And you go into the title favourites and leaders, Dundee United. Can only see one winner, but there's not enough. That's just not enough, is it? But Morton Airdrie 42-26-32. They started the season with a decent win over Ayr, but they've lost 4 of the last 5, Morton. But a 1-1 draw at Dundee United in the game before last week's defeat at Dunfermline does offer a bit of hope, I think. And Airdrie away aren't good. They've lost all 3. You got a 4-0 hiding at Arbroath last time. A tough game to assess. I wouldn't be taking this price about Morton. I certainly wouldn't be taking that. There's not enough in there. Partick Dunfermline 44-25-31. Partick have been in blinding form. They won 3 on the spin, hadn't they? And then all of a sudden they got done by Arbroath last week. And you know, we shouldn't laugh because Partick were in the double and the treble, weren't they? Dunfermline, just that one defeat to Wraith, going along steady. I didn't think Partick should be as short as 21-20 for this. There's 0.4 in Dunfermline. I think it'll be quite a close match, closer than the betting suggests anyway. They shouldn't be out at 13-5, no way. Let's move on to League One. Hamilton Annan, that's tonight, 66-24-10. I think Hamilton will win, but Annan are in decent nick, I think. You know, they've won 2 out of the last 4, unbeaten in 4 as well. Just haven't won away from home, have they? That would be the concern, if you like. I think Hamilton will win tonight. I really do. I do think they're good things, but there's just nothing in them. Alloa Edinburgh 52-27-21. Now again, this is one which is classic, and I'm glad there's nothing in this game, and I'll tell you for why. Because that figure has been projected up by Edinburgh. Edinburgh's shortcomings, the fact that they've lost 6 from 7, have yet to win, they've shipped 18 goals. Obviously that's making Alloa look a lot better than what they are. Alloa have won 1 game since the opening weekend, a 1-0 win over Cove. They've lost 4 of the last 6. No way they're 7-10 shots. They'll probably win because Edinburgh are the worst team in the division. But 7-10 is never. No way. You take that, you're desperate. Really, honestly, you know, don't do it. There's better 7-10 shots than that. Falkirk Montrose 60-25-15. They are going well, Falkirk. There's no question about it. 7 games played, they've won 6 of them. 5-1 at Kelty last time out was a fantastic scoreline. Montrose, they are getting it together. 3-2 at Queen of the South, 5-2 Edinburgh, 1-0 Stirling. I think they're in decent nick. I just think this is too much of a tough ask for them. There's a 1.5 in them. I don't think they should be out at 7-1. No chance, but it's up to you. You know, I mean, I've had a small bit on, like I said to you, about Crewe, 15-2, 7-1. You know, it's only a small bet, but massive prices, and you can build some sort of case. I do expect Falkirk to win, though. Kelty Queen of the South, 32-24-44. Now, Queens have lost the last 3. They've lost to Montrose, Falkirk and Hamilton, all by the odd goal. Now those 3 teams are first, second and third in the table. Are we finally, after years and years and years, beginning to see a profile of a pattern in Queen of the South? They've beaten Edinburgh, Annan and Cove. They're all in the bottom half of the table. They play Kelty tomorrow, who are in the bottom half of the table. Kelty's only win in the last 6 was a 2-1 win over Alloa, who are 8th. I think Queen of the South should be favourites for this. I really do, at 5-4. Yet they're out at 9-5. This lot of 6-4. They've beaten every side they've played near the bottom. They're near the bottom. But they've beaten nobody near the top, Queen of the South. Finally, are we seeing something? Stirling Cove, 33, 25, 42. Frustrating, Cove Rangers, that's all I can say. How they didn't beat Kelty, how they didn't beat Edinburgh last time, I don't know. Prior to that, they lost to Alloa 1-0 away and 2-1 at home to Cove. I still think that Cove are better than what we're seeing. Stirling, they hit the ground running. The wheels have come off. They've won one of the last 5. That was home to Kelty. I still don't believe that Cove aren't a better side than Kelty. Cove have to be a better side than Stirling. If you follow Scottish football close enough, you look at these two squads. Cove, if I was making a combined 11, I think I'd probably have 9, possibly even 11 Cove players in that combined 11. Yet Stirling in 4th, Cove in 9th. I don't know. But there's 3 teams in League One with value in. They're all away, and you know I prefer away. Right, finally in Scotland, League 2, and then we'll have a quick... I'll give my thoughts on the Premier League, and we'll do the weekly double, etc. Dunbarton Stranraer, 58, 24, 18. I think Dunbarton should be 8-11, they're 4-5. Lost at home to Peterhead last week. We were on Peterhead. It was a massive price, wasn't it? Peterhead 13-5 or something. We had to bet that, didn't we? And Peterhead thankfully won 1-0. I think Dunbarton will probably get the wheels back on this week against Stranraer. Stranraer, I don't think they don't travel well, Stranraer, and I just think the wheels have just come off a bit. They got a 5-0 hammering from Steny and lost at home 2-0 to Forfar last week. I think Dunbarton ought to win this tomorrow. It's 0.08. It's whether you think that's enough or not. It's not the best, is it? East 5 Forfar, 40, 26, 34. Just beginning to turn a corner, I feel, Forfar. Well, I'm not going to say I feel. I think they may be. 1 at Stranraer 2-0, 2-2 with Spartans, 0-0 at Clyde. The last 3, they're unbeaten in the last 3. 2 of them, we've seen 2 clean sheets. It's Bayview tomorrow. They've won 1 game all season. East Fife, that was a 2-0 win over Clyde. I think East Fife should be favourites, but I don't think they should be as short as 13-10. This 0.3 in Forfar is probably not enough. Peterhead Elgin, 55, 26, 19. 7-10 I thought was probably a bit on the short side for Peterhead. I think, I don't know what to make. I do think they'll probably win. Elgin aren't a good side at all, are they? I think they're probably one of the worst 2 or 3 sides in the division. Peterhead did ought to win. I just prefer... don't ask me why. There's certain teams that I don't like playing at home, or if I am going to play them at home, I don't want to bet them at odds on, and Peterhead do fall into that category. I know it's Elgin. I'd sooner play Peterhead away at Dumbarton at 13-5 or whatever it was last week than play them at home to Elgin. Even if I was getting 10-11 or something, I'd still sort of and ah about this. I don't know. I just don't trust them at home at a short price. I don't know why. Steny as well sort of can fall into that category with me, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Peterhead should win anyway. Spartans, Bonnyrigg, 50, 25, 25. I think Bonnyrigg's position in the league is false. I've said it before, and I'll tell you for why. Because up until last week, the bottom 3 teams in the division were Forfar, Elgin and Clyde. Those are Bonnyrigg's only wins. They've played Peterhead and Steny in the last fortnight. They've lost to both of them. Spartans are 6th. They've won a couple. They've only lost once, Spartans, and that was at home to Stenhousemuir, who, along with Peterhead, do look to be the sort of best teams in this division at the moment. I think Spartans ought to win this. There's 0.2 at 6-5. I think they should be evens. Stenhousemuir, Clyde. Again, similar to Peterhead in terms of I prefer to play them away. I look, you know, I always prefer to play any team away. I just don't trust Steny at home. I'm not saying they're not going to win tomorrow, because I think they will. It's just the fact that maybe they're a much better side this season. I don't know. We've got a 4-2 hammering at home by Dumbarton, but Clyde aren't Dumbarton. Steny should win. I think 4-7's a bit skinny for me. They've won 4 of the last 5. They're going well. They should win. There's not a lot about in League 2, is there really? Right, that's it. Let's look at something else quickly. Right, weekly double. Partick let the side down last week, didn't they? Badly. This week, the double, Manchester City and Crawley. City are away at Wolves. Crawley are at home to Sutton. I can't see anything other than both of those winning. And the treble, Manchester City, Arsenal and Crawley, 3.02 at Bet365. Arsenal visit Bournemouth. So, that's your double and your treble. Right, let's I'll quickly run through the Premiership. It's been on for a long time today. Villa Brighton, I thought was a tough game to assess. If I had to bet in this, I would bet Villa, just because I just think that Brighton might play into their hands. Newcastle Burnley, I think Newcastle will win. Manchester United Palace, I think Manchester United should win. Bournemouth Arsenal, as I say, I think Arsenal win. Wolves Man City will win. Everton Luton, Everton at 8-13. On the back of the performance last week at Brentford and midweek, I thought was pretty big. I know it's odds on and where Everton are in the league, etc., etc. I made Everton 2s on for this. 8-13 is a bit of value. It's just a question whether you can trust them to back up that performance last week. But Luton are poor. Everton ought to win this. West Ham Sheffield United. West Ham did ought to win. The only thing I'll say is West Ham don't play great against teams that sort of dig in and play that low block. I mean, if you remember when they won at Brighton, West Ham, they're better when a team comes onto them. They beat Chelsea, who had something like 80% possession. You know, I think they're a better side on the counter, West Ham. So they could find this difficult. And that, you know, I made them odds on. I made them 4-6, but you've got sort of complete opposite ends of the spectrum here, because you've got Everton at 8-13, who I think should be 1-2. You've got West Ham at 4-9, who I think should be 4-6. Which, you know, I'd sooner back Everton against against Luton than West Ham against Sheffield United. Tottenham Liverpool. I mean, did you see the game last week? I mean, what a game! I did say to you, didn't I? I think again this will be a brilliant game tomorrow night. Spurs Liverpool. You have to say the values with Tottenham 2-1, Liverpool 5-4. I think Liverpool I think should win. But I thought Arsenal would beat Tottenham. If Tottenham beat Liverpool, wow. But I just, you'd have to back Liverpool, both teams to score, wouldn't you, if you're going to bet here? Sunday, Nottingham Forest against Brentford. Brentford are favourites 17-10. I didn't make them favourites for this. I thought it was pretty close, sort of 13-8 each at 2. I thought the value was with Forest. And on the Monday night game, Fulham Chelsea, I'd have to back Chelsea at 29. I'd have to back Fulham at 29-10. Like I said last week about Chelsea, they were odds on, weren't they, against Villa? And I said they should be 11-8. I thought there was a couple of teams this week in the Premiership. I thought Villa at 17-10 was value. I thought Everton at 8-13 were value, and I thought Forest and Fulham were value as well. My only problem with all four of those teams I've just mentioned to you is they're all at home. But there we go, guys. That's it. Fingers crossed we can have a good weekend. All members' bets have gone out. I think next week we've got a midweek coupon, haven't we? So there could possibly be a video on Monday or Tuesday. If there's one Tuesday, I'll try and get it up early. But that's it. Fingers crossed we're lucky. Keep an eye on Twitter. I'll put everything on there. That's it. Bye for now.